video, we're going to talk about solving for missing sides in a right triangle. Okay, so recall that we have SOHCAHTOA here. So we have sine of A, cosine of A, and tangent of A. A angle is right here. So if we are going to label this triangle, we go across from the right angle. That's our hypotenuse. So this and this are touching angle A, so that makes B the hypotenuse because we already have the hypotenuse up, or B is the adjacent, because we already have the hypotenuse up here. And the one that's not touching angle A is this side over here, so that makes that the opposite. Then we have this acronym SOHCAHTOA. So the SO in SOHCAHTOA stands for sine is equal to opposite over hypotenuse. The cosine, ka, is equal to cosine is adjacent over hypotenuse. And the TOA is equal to tangent is opposite over adjacent. And if you need any review from this, you can go ahead and review my video on the trig ratios. Okay. Now what's super important when you're working with these is that you make sure your calculator is in degree mode, or whatever calculator that you're working with. Desmos Scientific Calculator is great. Just make sure it's in degree mode, okay? Because we want degrees. The other form of measurement is radians, and that's something that you'll get into when you get to Math 3, so not anything that we want to worry about right now, okay? We also want to round to the nearest tenth. Remember, that's 1 decimal, okay? So let's begin. So the angle that we're going from is angle 28. Now, circle that angle. The reason we're going from this angle versus this one up here is because there's nothing up there, okay? We go from the angle that we have information for. Then we label the triangle, okay? So 19 is the hypotenuse. Again, it's across from the right angle. And again, the two sides that touch 28 degrees is 19, and this side down here, which is the opposite, there's nothing there, which is the adjacent, I'm sorry. There's nothing there. And then the x isn't touching angle 28, so that's the opposite, okay? And then this is how I like to teach it, especially when we're beginning. We have SOHCAHTOA. Okay, so SOHCAHTOA. Now, if you look at our diagram over here, there is one letter that doesn't have any information with it. It's letter A, okay? So anything with letter A is not going to help us. So if we look at our SOHCAHTOA, okay, cosine's not going to work because it has an adjacent there. Well, we don't have anything for the adjacent, so we can't input any information in there. And same with TOA. So that leaves us with sine. So we're going to set up our equation. We have sine of 28 is going to be equal to, now sine is opposite over hypotenuse. So opposite is x, hypotenuse is 19. Okay? So again, sine of 28, sine of 28, 28 is our angle, so sine of the angle, 28 degrees, is equal to x over 19. Now how we solve this is we're actually going to create two fractions and cross multiply. So sine of 28 times 19, this is how we're going to write it. It's going to be 19 sine of 28 is equal to x. Okay? The reason I want you to put 19 in front of the sine is so that we don't have any calculator issues. All right? Now, with this one, I'm going to do it on my Wabbit Emu app, okay, which is the TI-84 calculator, and then the next one I'll show you how to do it in Desmos Scientific Calculator. I'm assuming most of us are going to be using the Desmos Scientific Calculator, but if you do have the Wabbit Emu app on your phone, or if you have a calculator at home, you can use your calculator as well, okay? So let me show you the calculator. It's going to flip a little bit. So again, you want to make sure you go into mode, which is right next to the second. And you go down and you want to make sure that your calculator is in degree mode, okay? Because again, if you don't put it in degree mode, it gives you a different answer because it's like measuring in inches versus centimeters. Okay? They're not the same measurement, so make sure you are telling the calculator that we're going to be in degree. Then you hit second mode and it gets you out of that screen. So we type in what we have on our paper, 19, and then sine. Sine is 2 above the 7. I'm sure you've seen that button before and didn't know what it was for. And then we had 28 degrees. So you hit enter, and we get 8.91. Again, we are going with the 10th place. So that 1 is going to keep the 9 where it's at. Okay? So let's go back to our presentation. So our answer for this is going to be x is equal to 8.9. So that missing side is going to be 8.9, whatever method we're using. Okay? So that's how you do it. So let's do a couple more examples. Let's look at number 2. So again, you circle the angle that they give you, and then you label your triangle. Well, across here, this is our hypotenuse. The two sides that touch are the hypotenuse and 32, so 32 is going to be my adjacent. The side that doesn't touch 41, that's going to be my opposite. So again, set up SOHCAHTOA. So the side that we don't have information for is hypotenuse. So I'm going to cross that out. So if you go to your SOHCAHTOA, sine has hypotenuse in it, so we cross out sine. Cosine has hypotenuse, so we cross out cosine, leaving us with tangent. Okay? So we're setting this up as tangent of 41 degrees. It's going to be equal to, and our acronym is OA, so it's going to be opposite, which is x, over A, which is 32. Okay, so again, we cross multiply, create a proportion, cross multiply, and I'm going to get x times 1 is x is equal to 32 tangent of 41. Okay, so from here, we're going to input this into our calculator. Now, I showed you how to do it in the TI calculator. Now I'm going to show you how to use the scientific calculator in Desmos, okay? Now here, right here, you want to make sure that this is in degrees, okay? Because if you put it in radians, which can happen, okay? If you click on it, it'll move over to radians. We don't want radians, we want degrees, okay? So we're going to type in what we had, 32 tangent of, what was it? It was 41. You hit enter, and there it is, right there. Okay. Now remember, we're going to one decimal place, so that 1 is telling the 8 to stay. So our answer is going to be 27.8. So x is equal to 27.8. Okay. Let's do a couple more examples. I'm going to skip this one and go to number 5. So we're going to go to number 5. I have 33 degrees. I circle it. And I label my triangle. So this is the hypotenuse. This is the adjacent because it's touching the 33. And the 15 is the opposite. Set up my SOHCAHTOA. If you guys don't need this, that's fine, but you know, we're new at this. So again, we're not using the A because there's no information there. So cross out A, cross out everything with an A. That leaves me with sine. So I set it up as sine of 33 degrees is equal to opposite over hypotenuse. So it's going to be 15 over x. Okay, now this time the x is in the denominator, so let me show you what this is going to look like when we cross multiply. We get 15 times 1 is 15, is going to be equal to x sine of 33. Okay? But what we want to do here is we want to get the x by itself, so we're going to divide by sine of 33. So this 15 over sine of 33, this right here is what I'm going to put in my calculator. So let me show you how this is going to work. So we're going to type in 15 divided by sine of, what was it? It was 33. We hit enter. We get 27.54. The 4 is telling the 5 to stay. So my side length here, x, is going to be 27.5. Okay. Number 6, I'll type this one into the TI-84 so you can see that. So again, let's see this here. We're going to label our triangle. The x is the hypotenuse. The adjacent is 36 because, again, it's touching that angle. And we have the opposite over here. So if we write our SOHCAHTOA, the opposite doesn't have any information there, so I'm going to get rid of everything with opposite. And this time we're going to use cosine. We haven't used cosine yet. So cosine of 43 is going to be equal to adjacent, which is 36, over hypotenuse, which is x. Okay. Create a proportion, cross multiply. 1 times 36 is equal to x cosine of 43. Now divide by cosine of 43. And then I'm going to type this right here in my calculator. Okay. So I'm going to type in 36 divided by cosine of 43. Enter. I get 49.22. The second 2 tells the first 2 to stay. So my side length is going to be 49.2. And that's how you find missing sides using our trig ratios.